I'm sorry then. How's the volume? Yeah, hang on a sec. I'm sorry we're getting a late start. We're trying to get everybody through the lunch line. Well, keeping quiet. Should I try again?
Other mic.
Use the other mic. How's that? Better?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome everyone to Gateway Rotary. Thank you to our greeter, Pat Bass. Let's have the pledge and four-way with Lisa. Come on up.
I'm ready.
Hi, everyone. I haven't been here in so long.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm joining now for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the four-way test of the things we say and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better conscience? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you. Okay. Inspiration, Ruth Kramer.
Yeah, I've always been intrigued by the astronauts, when they're looking from outer space and describing what they see, as they look back at Earth. And I found one that I particularly like by Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14 astronaut. He says you develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, international politics look so petty. You want to grab a politician by the scruff of the neck, grab him 250,000 miles out and say, look at that, you son of a bitch.
Ruth always has interesting inspiration for us. So we're going to extend greetings to visiting Rotarians. How many visiting Rotarians are out in the house? I know I see Brad Converse. Brad, want to wave? I see Kurt Brown. Want to wave? Welcome. And we have Rotarians with guests. Raise your hand.
I'm excited to introduce Kim Lucido from See the Light. Her husband is in the Wednesday Club. And what I would say is Jean is already an amazing person who is dedicated to service, and she wants to join our club.
Welcome, Jean. I haven't seen you in a long time. I know you do a lot of good work in the community. We're really happy you're here. Okay. Okay, Sue Parrish is getting inducted today. Hi, Sue. And you want to do that? You're right in line. Can we do it now? Okay, we'll see you in a minute. So I have an announcement. I'm very happy to announce that Jim Lefebvre is the new District Rotary Foundation Committee Grants Chair Treasurer. I think I said. I think I added a couple of words to that. He says it's next year, but we're happy to have royalty in the house. He's royalty. We have Kurt Brown in the house, who's also royalty. So welcome to all of you folks. And now let's have announcements.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you.
Great. I know what it's like. I did some stints there for 3 years. So, what I want to say, one of my stints on the district level was for the Global Grant Scholars. And Najib Ludin from Afghanistan was one of our scholars here. The scholars go to 3 colleges in the US, or no, not. They go to Amsterdam, then they come and they go to OSU and eventually get a master's degree in water. They're all studying water. The idea for the water scholars is that they all come from similar countries and know each other and work together in this program. Well, Najib had to leave his country, Afghanistan, and we were able to get him a scholarship and another Rotary grant to go to Texas A&M. He just now got his PhD in water studies. I'm so excited for that. And he had a green card, they have green card, and they have a darling son that was born in Texas. That's the only thing. But anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
Tonight at 7 o'clock, put on by the Southern Oregon Land Conservancy, and I think the Native Plant Society. Your favorite topic, serpentine ecology. Serpentine, which are kind of serpentine soils, a little bit unique to this area. They give rise to carnivorous plants like the cobra lily. And actually, I know the person who's been doing the presentation. Oh, Doug's gonna assist with the technicalities. It'll be, I believe me, it'll be interesting. Anyway, tonight at 7, if you have nothing to do and you wanna up your science studies, show up here tonight at 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Well, last week you heard about the faux pas with shoes that fit and Sunnyvale Charter School. Well, I was able to encourage them to send me the shoes as I had requested originally. And so the next 2 sets of shoes will be coming to me at the time I get them, and we'll get everything arranged, we'll get out there and we'll get those shoes fit on those kids. So things are back on the right track.
I know from Jersey Plus even once, so thank you for that. Okay, we have a new member being inducted, Sue Parrish, and I think Bev Walker's gonna make the introduction.
I think,
Brenda is gonna make the introduction.
It makes me very proud and delighted to be able to introduce Sue Parrish to the club. Sue was born in Philadelphia and spent her childhood poking around local forests and the South Jersey shore. One of 4 kids with parents with large extended families, every holiday was a huge gathering with the little kids, including Sue, and extra card tables to accommodate everyone. She earned her BA in psychology at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, then moved to the West Coast in a quest for new experiences. She earned her master's degree in wilderness psychology at Sonoma State University, then moved to Oregon in 1990, where she raised her daughter Kaya. Sue has shepherded a number of programs and initiatives. In 1996, she co-founded the Wilderness Charter School in Ashland, spending the following few years getting the program established. From 2001 to 2008, she led the Siskiyou Film Institute, expanding its natural history programs to 3+ years of programming and developing its now home on Deer Creek Road in Selma. From 2009 to 2015, she ran a consulting business that supported the information of collaboratives that brought together new partners to work together for effective positive change. Since then, Sue has worked for the state of Oregon for 3 different agencies, each role facilitating partnerships between government and local communities. She currently works for the Oregon Water Resources Department as a community engagement coordinator. In her spare time, she likes to hike, takes photos of what she sees along the way, and boat on Southern Oregon beautiful rivers and lakes. She was a founding member of the King Junction Rotary Club and is looking forward to the service and fellowship of her new club. I'd like to introduce Sue.
Welcome, Sue. Here's your packet of information and your red badge. And would you like to say a word?
I'm so happy to be joining you all. Thank you.
Congrats, and now I think we have some Paul Harris awards to give out. Is that not right, Jim? Come on. Aren't you?
Oh, I need Kurt too.
Okay.
So these Paul Harris Awards are put out by the Rotary Foundation. It's when a member has given $1,000 or more. And Dayla, can I see you for a minute, please? So thank you for the commitment you made to Rotary. Thank you for that one. +1 for you, so thank you very much for participating. And the clerk will send you over the meal to him.
Well, I'm pleased to recognize 3 members who have repeatedly gone above and beyond in doing good in the world. Members who lead by example, not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. Bev Walker, Janie Dool, Jody McDonald, please come on up. I got these in order, so I don't want to screw it up. Oh, we're right here. Bev, Janie, Jody, you will likely never meet the children, women, and men who will benefit. But on their behalf, I offer you a sincere thank you. Each of you have distinguished yourselves as multiple Paul Harris Fellows. Thank you for using your time, talent, and treasure to enhance the lives of others. Your generosity means so much to so many. On their behalf and on the club, the district, our foundation's trustees, I thank you. And I welcome Bev and Janie to receive their Paul Harris +3. Paul Harris +3, signifying $4,000 to the Rotary Foundation. And Jody, it's my pleasure to present you with your Paul Harris +6. $10,000 to the Rotary Foundation. Please wear these with pride in honor of the lives that you will reach through your generosity. Now, please join me in applause for the Paul Harris Fellows who continue to put service above self and make the magic of Rotary.
Thanks, everyone. Boy, that's a lot of Paul Harris stuff we got going. Okay, I think it's time for our speaker. Steve, are you going to introduce for us? Thank you very much.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce today's program, and it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart is hospice. I've been on the board for Friends of Southern Oregon Hospice in Medford for a few years now, and that's Celia's house. There's different hospice organizations in the River Valley. And I visit, for example, Hope, my therapy dog, has a hospice patient there. But Bristol Hospice in Grand Pass has a new program, and it's veterans serving veterans, and it's veterans helping hospice patients that might be veterans themselves. And there's 2 individuals who are speaking today. Felecia Shaw works for Bristol Hospice and is the program coordinator. And Jack Musser came by the dealership to introduce himself and wanted to be a program. And as I talked to him, I learned the son was Jake, so I knew Jake Musser is principal of Gladiola and Allendale School, and been actually a award recipient at Marco for all the activities he's done. Jack is also a past president of the Forest Grove Rotary Club and hired at the Royal Valley. So who's going to be talking first? Felecia? Okay, please help me introduce. Welcome, Felecia.
Scrunch it in there. There you go. Put it down.
All right, well, hello, everyone. Thank you for having us. Like Steve mentioned, I'm from Bristol Hospice, and I'm the volunteer coordinator. And how many of you are aware of what hospice is? What they do? Okay, good. So there's a lot of misconceptions about hospice. And hospice is a comprehensive, holistic approach to providing comfort, support, pain management to terminally ill patients and their families during their final months of their life. Patients that come on to care with us have a diagnosis of 6 months or less. But with that being said, each patient is different. We have patients that come on to care with us and they're with us for maybe a few days to even a year. It really just depends on the person. Each person is different and their needs are different as well. Bristol Hospice provides care to patients throughout Josephine, Jackson, and part of Douglas County. We provide superior end-of-life care to patients that include our veteran patients. Did you know that the Rogue Valley has 6,000 veterans in the Rogue Valley? Which I thought was pretty astonishing. I thought that was a large number. 25% of all deaths in the US are veterans, and more than 1,800 veterans die each year. American veterans have done everything asked of them in their mission to serve our country, and now is the time that we step up and acquire the necessary skills and fulfill our mission to serve these men and women with the dignity and honor that they deserve. That is why Bristol Hospice greatly offers our We Honor Veterans program. The We Honor Veterans program is a veteran-to-veteran volunteer program. One of the things that makes Bristol Hospice unique compared to the other hospices in the Valley is that we are the only ones that actively participate in the We Honor Veterans program. So you might be asking yourself, well, what does being part of the We Honor Veterans program mean? And it's an innovative program that was developed by the National Palliative Organization Care Program in collaboration with the Department of Veteran Affairs. We are the only hospice, like I mentioned, in the Rogue Valley that participates in this program. There's 5 levels that you can achieve, and we're currently at level 3, and by the end of this year, we'll be at level 4. And the only reason why we're not at level 4 yet is because we have to wait a year at level 3 to apply for level 4. Otherwise, we'd be there already. So by participating in this innovative program, we're ensuring that our organization is equipped to address the unique needs of our nation's veterans. It is important to understand that the unique healthcare needs of veterans are based on the era that they served. A generation of World War II, Korean War, and now Vietnam War veterans are starting to face their end-of-life care needs. That is why Bristol Hospice educates and trains our staff and our volunteers on the health conditions that they may be facing. Such conditions may include like PTSD or the effects of being exposed to Agent Orange. And those are the types of things that I help educate our staff on so that they're aware of those types of things and how to handle those individual care needs. So what does that mean for all of you? Part of the reason why I'm here today is to tell you a little bit more about our volunteer program. So part of my job is to help recruit and share information about the different volunteer programs that we offer. One of the main purposes of the We Honor Veterans program is to have a veteran-to-veteran volunteer program. And I recruit the veterans in our community and match them with our veteran patients. Veteran patients share a cultural bond, and it seems to be very effective to have a fellow veteran come and meet with them and provide companionship, camaraderie. They have shared stories and a shared culture that they find comforting. Also, having a fellow veteran to talk to can provide the companionship that they're needing. A lot of times our veterans don't have a lot of family or friends that are nearby or anyone to visit them, so they become lonely, and it's helpful to have someone to talk to and, brighten their day by coming in and reading a book with them or sharing stories, things like that. So part of the veteran volunteer program and the way that the volunteers can help is by providing the companionship. They can help provide the camaraderie. They can take part in honoring the veteran in our pinning ceremonies. And part of our pinning ceremonies is, like myself and Jack and some of the other volunteers that we have, we go and visit the veteran patients and we present them with a certificate of appreciation. They also get a pin from us, and we do a pinning ceremony is what it's called. And so we thank them for their service and for what they have provided for our country. And then our volunteer chaplain plays the trumpet, and we say a poem, and then the chaplain also provides a prayer for the patient as well. And so it can be a pretty moving experience, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback about it. So it's something special to be a part of. Something else that you can do as a veteran volunteer is, like I mentioned, watch a movie with them, read a book, take them outside for a walk. and then also participate in our annual celebration of life. So our celebration of life is a community-wide celebration of the patients that were on service with us that have passed. And we have the old guard riders participate in that, and they do a flag line over the bridge at the All Sports Park. And then we toss roses into the river for all the patients that have passed, kind of honoring them and saying our goodbyes. And we invite all of the families to participate with us, and it's a pretty special event for the community. So the possibilities are endless as far as becoming a veteran volunteer. You don't have to be a veteran yourself to participate in that. We also have other we have other volunteer programs as well. So if you're someone who enjoys just sharing stories and talking to people, or you like doing arts and crafts, or maybe you're really good at playing a musical instrument, we're always looking for volunteers that can do those sorts of things too. So a lot of times people tell me, well, there's no way I could meet with, a hospice patient. That's too hard. There's, I don't want to get attached to someone that I know is gonna pass. But for me, in my experience, I've seen that just going in and meeting with someone and spending, a half hour to an hour with them can bring them tremendous joy and bring them so much happiness that it's worth it. And so the commitment to becoming a volunteer isn't a large one. The ball's really in your court as far as how much time you're willing to, invest in this. We just ask that it's anywhere from a half hour to an hour a week at most. And, it's really up to you if you want to see one patient or several patients. So, but it is a very meaningful and rewarding program to be a part of. And like I had mentioned, not all of our patients are actively in that stage of dying. We have a program called the 11th hour, where, patients are within, days and or actually hours of passing. And if that's something that compels you, we do offer that, and we can be a part of that process and be there for the patient, especially if they are alone and don't have anyone to be by their side. It's not for everyone, but like I said, there's a whole variety of ways that you can volunteer. Something else I was going to share is that the reason why the We Honor Veterans program is near and dear to my heart personally is because of my family. I'm not a veteran, but I have many family members that are. My stepfather served in Vietnam, and he's the big reason why I'm so passionate about this program and sharing the information about it and trying to get as many fellow veterans to volunteer and help give back to fellow veterans. So I have put on the table some information about our veteran volunteer program. There's information about what exactly the pinning ceremony is, a little bit more information about what our veteran volunteers do. It also has information about specifically what the We Honor Veterans program is and what the tiers are, and how we have achieved those different tiers. So it's a lot of helpful information just to kind of know and understand what it is that we're doing and why we do it. Like I said, Bristol Hospice is the only hospice company in the Valley that participates in this program actively. And I do monthly trainings for our staff and for our volunteers, and just try to share as much information as I can about, the different things that veterans may face at end of life. So that being said, I have brought along a veteran volunteer with us. This is Jack Musser, like Mr. Rowe mentioned earlier, and he is an Air Force Vietnam veteran, and he's one of our volunteers, and he participates in our pinning ceremonies and visits with a few different patients. And so he's going to share a couple words about his experience and being a volunteer, and then also why he chose to be a part of our program. I'll hand it over to Jack.
I went to sleep. But my mouth didn't, so I'd like someone to volunteer if I, in a half hour from now, still speaking just teasing. Two things I wanted to cover. One was why I decided to volunteer with hospice, and I didn't realize it was an honoring veterans program when I met with Felecia and said I would like to volunteer. I did that because my wife was on hospice for 7 months. She died a year and a half ago. And when she first decided to go on to hospice, I checked around and wanted to see which hospice would be the best for her. And I was told by several people that, and I think all of them are fine and they do a great job, but that she would recommend Bristol. Okay, so we put her on Bristol hospice. When she went on hospice, her doctor said that she, and a lady doctor, she anticipated my wife would live for 3 to 5 more weeks. Well, 7 months later, thank God, she was still alive. You know, she was still my wife, she was still our 5 kids' mother, our 11 kids' grandmother, and our 10 kid great-grandmother. So I really appreciated their hospice. Their belief and philosophy is they're not waiting for people to die. And it really met with my philosophy. But what they did is just tremendously respected the dignity of the patient, number one, and made it as pleasant as possible. Unfortunately, my wife had a lot of family support. 4 of our 5 kids live on transplants, 1 in Klamath, and that's why my wife and I moved to transplants when I retired out of Forest Grove. So anyhow, every day I try to honor my wife, and one way, and for several months, for about a year, I was trying to figure, how can I honor her? And did different things, donations like the Holy Name Sisters, and donated to some homeless people, and it just didn't do it for me. And I decided I'm gonna volunteer at hospice. I didn't know how I would react or respond to that. But it's been wonderful, and a lot of thanks to Felecia. She does a great job with the volunteer program. But it's just not going in and say, I want to volunteer. And they say, okay, go visit this person. They put you through some training, reading a whole manual about that thick, testing on it, getting a background check. I passed that. I fooled them. And doing TV tests, and then what else did we have to do? Oh, an orientation. And this Saturday, I'm excited though, because we have a volunteer training. So they take the time, and Felecia takes the time with volunteers and does a tremendous job. And I feel like part of the staff, except on payday. But, I mean, the people there are so great, and they have so much respect for their patients, and I've not ever heard anybody in the office there, I don't know a whole lot, talk about, you know, terrible experiences, or talk about this patient or that patient's gonna die soon, or, I mean, it's all about living. And that's what they did for my wife. They helped, and I'm sure any hospice did it. They helped her live an additional 7 months that we had to. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about why I did it, and it's been very fulfilling for me. The other thing, I had the honor this morning, just before coming here, to visit one of my patients is a World War II veteran, 97 years old. Was in the Merchant Marines. I was really anxious to start with him to find out about the Merchant Marines, what they did. And he was on a submarine in the Pacific during World War II, which was probably a pretty dangerous assignment. But I just visited with him today. The other patient I visit with, one of the, is a jet fighter pilot. Vietnam era. And, learned a lot about it when he got out of, the Air Force as a, fighter pilot. He was a captain, piloting a TWA, which is not around anymore. Trans World Airlines, he was a captain on that. So anyhow, just learn a lot about these people and, I have so much respect, not only for veterans, but people that are going through the process. The other thing I spent time today with was, the daughter and granddaughter of this one, veteran from World War II, who absolutely just, what's the best, tired. He was up all night and they were up with him. So, I mean, he's fortunate enough to have that family to help, but it's very draining on family being a caregiver. Some of you, I'm sure, have experienced that too. But I visited with two people for a while this morning as well, and just let them talk, listen to them. So that's an important thing, being a witness when we go out. So anyhow, I certainly, we would welcome any question. Thanks for lunch. I really feel, I was in the Forest Grove Rotary for 10 years, and I really feel at home here. I was lucky enough to be a president in 2009, and I didn't want more than 1 year of that. It was a lot of work. Rotary, you may have seen it or been there, but we did that big old antique car show every year in Forest Grove, and a big old steak dinner, and I think it was the springtime, and it's a lot of work, but thank you for your service to Forest Grove. And I know you do a lot of service to the community, and the children, the students, and so forth. And we did that too. It was great. So, thank you for having us today for lunch. And I want to just say one word about.
No.
To Steve, I went in there, and what a great person in this community, and you already know that. But when I went in, introduced myself, and even though he knew my family, I didn't know him. I read his articles all the time in the paper, as you do, but he was, man, he was so helpful. He said, yeah, I'll give you the presidents of the other Rotary clubs, and I said, we'll get you on the agenda, contacted Felecia. So thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your service and thank you for joining us today. Super interesting program. We're all looking for service opportunities, and every one of us in this room either knows a veteran, related to a veteran, is a veteran, and this is huge. In my own experience, the people I've met in hospice in my life are living angels, and they help you through, you know, how the family dynamics all come back and all that. So thank you for that. Do we have questions for either of our speakers today?
By the way, nobody ever called me a living angel. Thank you.
Come on, Deb. Here we go. Yeah.
My comment is when you said you didn't get the paycheck. I've read that once a volunteer starts getting paid, they don't like their job as much. So, I think that's a good thing. And my mom was kicked off of hospice a few times because she got healthier, so.
Thank you, Bev. Any other comments or questions from the crowd? Yeah.
Years ago, stayed home and died. But I learned so much from the hospice, how to deal with it. It's probably one of the most impressive bunch of people I've ever met. Thank you.
Here, here.
No, I don't have a question. I have, thank you very much for focusing on veterans. That's so very important.
Tell kind of a funny story, but it was also with my amazing love of the hospice people that helped my mother. And my mother was just short of being 99 when she passed. And Tommy and Margaret and I had been in Turkey and Greece. And I did not find out that she was put on hospice until we got to Colorado in the airport. And anyway, then we were told we weren't gonna get on a plane. They overbooked the plane anyway, so I was a mess, broke down, crying. And somehow we got on the plane, and I did. You gave up your seats, yes, you were so sweet. Anyway, so when I got back, my mother kind of came out of, not unconsciousness, but she was like not awake. I leaned down and said, "Mom, I'm back." She reached up, opened her eyes, "You're home." And so that night, she stopped being very cognizant at all. But right before she became unresponsive, the hospice people were standing around her hospital bed. And I was standing there and I said, "Mom, are you hungry?" And she went, "Maybe." And the hospice people didn't say a word, but they went. And I just looked at them, "Well, I think you're okay, Mom." And basically everything they did was so graceful and so wonderful, and thank you.
Thank everyone for all their kind words and appreciation for hospice. I do want to say, I know it's a heavy topic and it's kind of it's hard to talk about at times and hear information about hospice, but part of what we do and strive to do with our company is that we're there from the beginning to the end and even after. So even after a patient passes away, we support the family and we're there through the grief process as well. So we have a support group that meets once a month in person, and our social worker kind of runs that program. And then I have a volunteer that's going to be joining, and she's going to be part of that bereavement program as well. And so there's so many opportunities to, give back and to support the families even after their loved one is gone. And that's something that we definitely look to achieve and to be there for those families. Because we know that when someone passes, that grief doesn't stop. It has just begun. And so we want to make sure that we're with them through that journey. So
Thank you. Thanks so much. Okay. All right, everyone, we're auditioning a new sergeant today, and they win based upon how many happy bucks they get in. So no pressure, Jim. Come on, I'm easy.
The irony of my first day of being Sergeant at Arms is today is the number 13. And I thought, well, at least it's not Friday the 13th, but it's a 13th. So I thought, why do we have this strange association with the number 13? And I looked into it a little bit, and it really depends on who you ask what 13 really means. So, and a lot of it is, some of it's numerology and some of it's just your belief system. But in Judaism, it's actually positive. There's a positive association because, say at the age of 13, a Jewish boy becomes a bar mitzvah, taking on religious and social responsibilities. And that's a very important thing. There are 13 attributes of God's mercy. I didn't know that one. This is a prayer recited during times of crises to beseech God for forgiveness. And then also in the ancient Jerusalem temple, it featured 13 places of kneeling, 13 places, gates of access, and 13 different shaped charity boxes, and 13 places, tables for offering. So, in that belief system, it's good. Now, in Christianity, it has a negative connotation. And I didn't really realize this, but it's associated with the Last Supper. And Jesus was betrayed by Judas, and there were 13 people at the Last Supper. And Judas was the apostle who betrayed Jesus. So that's a negative association. In Hinduism, it actually has a lot of auspicious beginning or auspicious associations. For example, the 13th day of the Hindu calendar month is dedicated to the prayers to Lord Shiva. And the number 13 is linked to rituals following a person's death, with the soul observing the family's activities for 13 days after creations. I think my family's gonna hang around for 13 days after, right? That's right. And then one more, I think this comes out of numerology. And, you know, like I said, it depends on who you ask. In some numerology systems, number 13 can be associated with karma. The test of life, your need for focus and duty. So whenever you think of 13, just think of it a little differently than you use it. I got an idea for the next thing from Luke's, what he did last week. So this will be interactive, and so put on your thinking caps, and I want you to help a little bit and tell a story, but you have to think one first. So, you know, one of the focus areas of our Rotary Club, of International Rotary, is now environment. So I thought we could circle back and do something related to the environment. So here's the question, and I'll prime the pump, I'll give you a little story. If you can, think of the very first time that you realized you loved nature. So the story is the first time you realized you loved nature. And if you can't think of anything, then just tell a story about when you realized you love nature. So for me, I did think about this. And so I was a kid, I grew up in Ohio, in Cincinnati, which is close to Indiana and Kentucky. And we went to a wedding, and afterwards the reception was on this big farm. And I realize now, it's really stupid to take kids well-dressed at a wedding on a farm. So that was mistake number one.
I had a giant sandwich. I had half a minute.
Farm, I think it was in Kentucky, or I can't recall exactly. Anyway, so my brother and I and a couple little kids said, man, we're not, boring, hanging out with adults. We're gonna go explore the farm. And I remember there was this beautiful creek that was just running across this field. There weren't any cows nearby, so it was pretty pristine condition. And being curious, I had to get it, look at it, and I fell in the creek. And the water was like ice cold, and it wasn't moving really fast, but I'm realizing I'm in trouble, I'm dirty. And then every time I tried to get out, kind of a steep bank, I'd pull on a branch and it would give way and I'd fall back. And I kept thinking, I'm in deep trouble because I look like a little pig now. But at any rate, it was at that moment I realized I love nature. It was so beautiful. And it also, there was a second part. I realized it was dangerous. That, nature had this extraordinary appeal. But by God, you better be careful out there because it will bite you if you're not careful. That's when I realized as a dumb little kid, in a way, I love nature. So, anybody got a story? All right, John Jones, there you go. Here you go. No,
Here you are.
people apart.
Nature started as a little kid. It's on, but right now, all right. My love of nature started as a little kid in Des Moines, Iowa, catching fireflies as they lit up in the night. And those of you that have not seen fireflies, yeah. Right, good job. All right, who else? Come on. It's mine. I just take this one.
I'll do one for Calvin, for those of you who know Calvin. He's a little rambunctious, a little crazy, but I took Calvin camping by myself when he was 3, freshly 3. So him and I went tent camping and it was a hot mess. But we live in a pretty busy neighborhood, so we don't really see much wildlife. And it was like early in the morning because he was 3, so I want to say it was like 5 or 6 a.m. and we were walking to the bathroom and there was a bunch of deer. And he looked over and he's all, what is that? And I was like, those are deer. Like thinking like, I don't have the worst mom ever because my 3-year-old know what a deer is. And he looks at me and he's all, wow, they are so beautiful. You're right, funny. So I always make fun of every time you see deer, that they're so beautiful.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, I got that. So I will echo, as soon as you said Calvin, then my kids sort of popped up, and I remember going out with them as 2 and 3 year olds just out in the vegetable garden. And putting a 2-year-old on the ground, and the fact that they would just be engrossed with an ant or a worm or whatever was crawling around, and I think that love of nature kind of builds and grows. And so I don't really have a moment when I realized nature was wonderful, but I do recall as a small kid being out in the middle of the boonies, which is where my mother grew up. And there was a street lamp at the cross section of these 2 highways in this little tiny town called Manton of 300 people, east of Red Bluff by 2 hours. And you could throw rocks in the air and at night and watch the bats chase the rocks. And that was just spectacular to watch, to be able to catch a rock and then watch a bat chase after it. Down to 2 or 3 and how fascinating it was.
So my story is about being a little kid at the ocean. Because I grew up in Southern Cal and my dad loved body surfing. I'm not talking surfboard, body. And he would teach me how, I was the oldest, and we went in the ocean every weekend. And we got our lovely skin burned. But that was when I realized how wonderful, it's just awesome to roll around like this with a way at this rate.
Sue's got one, our new member, when we honor our new member by letting her tell a story.
I remember being like 5 years old in Avalon, New Jersey, and that was back in the days when your parents said, "Oh, sure, go to the beach by yourself and I'll see you for dinner." And so I took a little walk to the Long Beach, and I was walking along the beach, and all of a sudden I realized I wasn't alone. Like I started out my walk, I was alone, and then I was like, waves were there, and crabs were there, and the shells were there, and the air, the salt air and everything, and I had this amazing, like, I never forgot it. I was just a little kid, and I was walking along the beach, and I was like, oh, I'm a part of this. And it's stuck with me for the rest of my life.
Let us do one more, and then we jump happy guys. So Valerie.
Yeah, my story is, I used to, as a kid, I used to walk a lot. I always used to think, I walk a lot, but it was because I had rowdy brothers. I had 3 brothers younger than myself, and I would do anything to get out of the house because they were rambunctious and loud, and I liked quiet. So I used to walk a lot, and I used to walk to the library and kick a rock, and then I kick it back, and that. And then I found this little, and I lived in this little suburban area, this little tiny park, which had some big trees, it was up in Portland, and little grass, and you could look at those little daisies that kind of pop up all over the place, and it was just like my new haven, and I absolutely love it, and I can still imagine sitting there in that little area, and making daisy chains, and thinking, how peaceful it was, and like I said, it's probably because I grew up with craziness, but I've always appreciated the quiet and the calm that comes with nature.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful story. Let's jump to Happy Bucks. I'll start off. I'd like to offer $10 Happy Bucks. I want to thank our presenters for coming. And just a quick story. Whenever I drive north on I-5 coming into Jefferson County, and I see those slogans, "We support veterans," frankly, I get a little cynical, and I think, how? What does that really mean? And so it lifted my heart to hear your talk and know you are doing something to support veterans. So really appreciate that. Okay, so who else? Happy Bucks. Wake up, my friends.
I have one real quick, since I had a microphone. Lisa Kramer earned her blue badge. Yeah.
Really what's happening? Okay, Happy Bucks.
So you really do need to go to the Red Pass High School play production of Unthinkable Moment. Went to 2 performances last weekend, and it really is fabulous.
My husband said, usually there's a couple voices that are really good. This time is like 24. Absolutely wonderful voices. They got a new sound system. It's a topical, culturally relevant, play. And I thought about International Women's Day and it was so something, it's political, but, really good. So please, see it. Friday, Saturday night at 7, Sunday at 2.
Just real quick, I went to, one friend, yesterday, she came and spoke at our, with entrepreneurs, Fortune founded one, Prince downtown, State Fair in Boston for. She was amazing. I did buy a gift for somebody and visiting, and she helped me, get 4 gardening things together. I mean, she was amazing. So I recommend going in there and supporting local business. Prince.
I just want to say, Unsinkable Wall of Ground. We're actually the host family for Celia from Denmark, and she's been with us for 4 months, and she's in it. And if you do go, you can find her because she's the tallest one on the stage. And it's excellent. It's wonderful. I've been twice, and I'll go to the last one, but it's a very fun and well done play.
I want to say thank you to hospice, because I think most all of us have had that experience, and it was wonderful not to have parents dying, but to have hospice there to help us through that journey of parents passing on. It's been fantastic. I would like to say that I have happy bucks because fortunately, some wonderful person has enrolled Bev and I in something called PQ. I don't know, I can't quite remember what PQ stands for, but anyway, it's kind of a way of learning to recognize anxiety and stress in your life, and then to learn to sort of meditate. And I've gone down a couple paths. I've tried a few times in the past to learn to meditate, and it's like, oh Christ, this doesn't work. That's the vision of meditating, and it's like, it doesn't work for me. But this system is really helpful because it both teaches you to recognize when your brain goes down a destructive negative path, right? And then it gives you about 20 different ways to meditate. And there's a few of them that I found really easy. It's like, oh, I could suddenly meditate and it feels better. And I actually feel smilier and happier and everything. So it's really been nice. And I really appreciate going on that, using that system. I think, EQ, don't ask me what it stands for. I don't know.
Okay, we will. I have happy bucks for Jean coming to and maybe joining our club. She's our president of Women's Crisis Support Team Board. She does a fabulous job, and Women's Crisis Support Team, I think, is very fabulous too. Anyway, that's one of my happy bucks. My other happy buck is for Jane Jibb, of course, to have gotten his PhD. And I'm so happy our country could help someone who is fleeing from the Taliban. And he's got his green cards. And what was the other thing? I think that was it. Thank you.
Happy for the positive energy and the do-gooders that we have around us here today. Thank you.
There you go.
Back from 3 weeks in Hawaii and went there to see if it would help my fibromyalgia. It really didn't. And I got over the cold that I had for 6 weeks. So that alone is worth something.
Thank you, real happy bucks, real quick. Debbie was on the forum for the women game changers in our area with Isla and a few other women for the International Women's Day. So I just wanted to say.
My happy bucks are for the presenters today. My dad was in the VA hospital in California, in Fresno. And he kind of exceeded expectations. He lived for 2 years. But the veterans who didn't even know him, who were there visiting, other people would go in and they'd play checkers. And best of all, they had shared stories. And I was here, I talked to him every day, but the in-person stuff was wonderful. So I'm so glad that this is kind of aimed at veterans. Thank you very much.
One last thing, we have the draw card. Would you give us the honor of just picking a card? Okay, it's the 6 of diamonds. Does anyone have these? Hey, value boys. All right.
Hey, I want to say thank you. I think Jim passed, but if you forgot your happy bucks, don't forget to put your happy bucks down. Thank you for doing that. And I just have a quick, before we do thought for the day, which is from Beth Hitler, a quick story. Like 30 years ago, I was at a fight in New York City, and just as the curtain rose, this little tiny person came and sat next to me with a hat on and stuff, and the whole time I kept saying to my friend, that looks like Bette Midler. It's like Bette Midler, and finally my friend said, well, that's because it is Bette Midler, you idiot. And so then when the curtain came down, she got escorted out really fast too. She's approximately this big. So thought for the day from Bette Midler, I didn't belong as a kid, and that always bothered me. If only I'd known that one day my differentness would be an asset, then my early life would have been much easier. So thank you today. Great meeting, great crowd. We'll see you all next week.